Okay, overcomase. Hala, this is gonna be like a conversation more. This is very fun. Okay, overcomase. Um, avec with the three first questions. What's your name? Where are you from? Where do you live? How do you know me?
Okay, so my name is Marie-Claude Svanji. I live in Tampa, Florida in the US. I am originally born in Lebanon, half Lebanese on my dad's side, half Italian on my mom's side. And I know Aya since 2011. I can't believe I was just counting to figure out. I cannot believe it's been already 40.
Voila, I met you in 2011, Kamil. Really? Oh, I don't remember that at all. Oh, wow.
Very.
Really? Yeah. But did you meet Mama in Lebanon? Did you meet her in Lebanon first?
So we intermittently met briefly because as I was exiting Librairie du Liban, your mom was coming in for the training.
Okay.
And that's how we met. And then time went by and we lost touch. And then all of a sudden we're at Macy's and the stylist is taking care of me and I'm full the voice telling me, I know this voice. And then I said, aren't you AP? And she said, your mom. So
yeah.
Oh my God. And we've never been apart.
Now you're best friends, you're soulmates together now. Now you're a wonderful part of the family. There's lots of gaps that I'd love for you to fill in of just, whatever you want to mention from your childhood. Inti, you grew up predominantly in Lebanon, no?
So I grew up until the age of 9, and in 1970, when the war broke out, we migrated for the first time.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my dad couldn't be with us. It was just going to be us 3 girls and my mom. And so we have family around us. So he moved us to Roanoke, Virginia, where his wife and 2 kids who had established for a very long time ever since they got married. And he was my cousin. So my dad figured we'd have family to support us there if we needed anything, because he needed to be in Lebanon to try and save as much of his businesses as he could.
Okay.
And so that's how my mom had her first cultural shock, last shot of life.
So before that, what are your earliest memories of Lebanon? What do you remember from the first 9 years?
I remember going up to Zahli every weekend, which is where my dad took my parents and my aunts. I remember before the war, I remember the good days, honestly.
Okay.
The good times, visiting different regions in Lebanon. My dad had 7 farms. He was in the poultry business.
Oh, wow.
He exported chicken, chicks, and eggs to the... So I visited a lot with my parents, be it regionally in Lebanon or the neighboring countries. So it was very exciting. It was a great childhood. I have very happy memories early on, but then gradually things started getting darker and darker. Make, break, and escape.
Yeah. So what was the big cultural shock like? Did you feel it at all, or do you think you were too young to feel it? Did you notice it with your mom about moving to America?
No, for me, it was a great experience. We moved from an apartment to a ginormous home. That was 3 stories. We had acres of land around the house. Yeah. We had a tennis court. We had a basketball court. So being a child, this was heavenly, basically. I had my own room instead of sharing a room with my older sister. So it was a very, very happy move for me. I got on very well in school. I made friends very quickly. But unfortunately, my mom and my older sister, it was a different story together. I had no say at age 9 and 10 and 11. Wherever they tell me to go, I have to go.
Yeah. Was there
anything?
Right? Did you already speak English when you moved, when you were 9? Okay.
to an English school.
Oh, okay.
And I'm taking system school early on since the age of.
Okay. 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 So it wasn't like a French speaking school and then you moved over. Okay.
The French that I knew very early on was because of all my mother's family who were all either Greek, French, or Italian. Their language was French, so we grew up speaking.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So how long did you stay in America for the first time?
We stayed for about close to 3 years. And when things started settling down in Lebanon in the late 70s, my mom said, that's enough. Let's take the girls. At the time, especially where we were, drugs, alcohol were prevalent. And my mom had concerns for us being girls, but I'm a happy person, you know. So she said, this is it, let's go back. So we sold everything, went back.
That's really interesting because if knowing the length of the war ended up being into the 80s, would you think, do you think even other people in that time period would have thought she was crazy to go back? Or do you think it was a good idea at the time?
You know, like all Lebanese, the minute they see a ray of sunshine, this is it. And they all have to hope. Without hope, you have nothing. So, and Lebanese people that have lived the war and immigrated and come back many times, not one times. I think it's a love for that country. That's a love and hate type of relationship because it's a constant struggle. But I think that everyone, because she painted such a dark picture when we went back, and we were one of the first families to move within our family circle and friends. So everyone thought that it was brilliant that we came back and we saved the girls from the drugs and the alcohol. And so at early 80s, we grew up again. Yeah. My dad said, enough is enough. I don't want to be in the war. And my mom said, I will go back, but this time I'm not going to Robert, Virginia. There must be a place where I can actually have a life. Right. In early 80s, we came to Tampa, and my dad never looked back.
And then, am I crazy? Did your dad have a business or something?
So in the 80s, when we moved to Tampa, he purchased a strip plaza in Tampa. In that strip plaza was a seafood restaurant. Okay. A seafood market and a seafood restaurant. And my dad, honestly, had never set foot in the kitchen ever in his life. Really? Ever. No interest, ever. He and my mom were reclining chairs in Lebanon in the living room when he'd come up for his power nap, let's call it, and lunch before going back to the office. And they'd be sitting on either side, and the jug of water would be in the middle. And he would say, can you please give me the water? He would even grab it himself to drink. So that's, oh my God. This is from the kitchen he was. And all of the restaurant owner. But he did phenomenally well for 8 years.
Really?
It was people, rain in Tampa is pretty times, especially during summers. And people would queue Tuesday through Saturday, at times 2 to 3 hours under the storm. And just to get in. Wow. Impressive.
Wow. Bravo. You grew up like in the restaurant then, didn't you? Yeah. Was you a waitress? I was going to ask. That's really fun. Yeah.
And I was very, very generously picked because I made sure I was the owner's son.
And then the way I know your personality, you must have really been their favorite, really going in there. Yeah.
It was very social early on.
Yeah.
And it evolved obviously into different versions of sociability, but it worked out my favor.
Yeah. How old were you the second time when you came to America?
So the second time we came, I was around 13.
Oh, okay.
And we stayed until I started college.
Oh, well.
And then one summer when I was in Lebanon, I met the kid's dad and started doing the back and forth, and then decided to finish college in Lebanon, and then And then fast forward 2005, I decided it was time to pick up and leave.
Yeah. What is that? So growing up, going back and forth like that, what do you think that was it just normal to kind of go between two countries all the time in terms of where did you feel you were from?
It was, in retrospect, now as an adult, I wish I had never gone back to Lebanon.
Okay.
And had stayed, finished my school, and really disassociated myself. Not to say that I don't love the country or the people that I have there, but I think it was to my detriment as a person, as an individual, the back and forth, because it just didn't help matters from an educational perspective. I more than anything wanted to be an attorney when I went to college here and went back. I don't have my Lebanese baccalaureate, and when I got the grades evaluated to where I got, it was a form of a baccalaureate. It was a form of a certificate of a baccalaureate, but it wouldn't allow me to register at the Lebanese university, where I could do law in English and Arabic. Otherwise, French university. And even though I spoke perfectly well, I knew I could go to school in French.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know you wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah. Okay.
I keep saying, Claude, I'll quit work and go back to school. But when I met the kid's dad and maintained distance, and because I gone back and forth.
Okay. I understand.
He tried 3 times for him to get a visa to the U.S. My parents would help him establish a dental practice, basically, in Tampa. Forward. Unfortunately, he was denied 3 times. And so he said, if you want a life with me, you're going to have to give up the U.S. And that's...
When you went back to do that and you knew what you were, at that point you chose it because it was the best choice at the time. Did you know in the back of your head, though, you're going to bring children eventually into this country? Did you always know from the beginning, like, this might not work out in terms of raising the kids in Lebanon with the way Lebanon has never been stable? Or has that, because I always wonder about how do Lebanese people view that? Because like you said, we always look for that ray of sunshine. That's always that sliver of hope, but it never stays. So and knowing you were going to go settle there, get married, how did you think about that from the get-go?
I think before I had the kids and early on in their childhood, because things had completely settled down, in the 90s, I was pregnant with Nadim, and we spent the whole night in the bathroom, and they were shelling insanely. And the war ended basically completely.
Okay.
And when the Syrians invaded East Beirut and so on. And for a good number of years, we had relatively, I would call it, a peaceful existence.
Okay.
It wasn't the Lebanon that my parents grew up in, but at least in the areas and regions where you could navigate, you had a peaceful existence. And then gradually things started escalating, and I would bring the kids and come to visit my parents every other summer. And the kids started feeling an affinity to life in the U.S. and how different.
Okay.
And my sister and my niece and nephew and their dad had moved a few years prior, and they saw how their cousins were living, and that kind of triggered a sense of, I want to do this as well. So when Amin and I parted ways and it was starting to really get seriously escalated, I figured best thing would be to just make sure they had a different experience growing up. Yas was 12, Nadim was 13.
Okay. Yeah. And they were in an English-speaking school by that point, or were they French? Okay.
Teacher Nadim for 2 years and Yas for 1 year.
So part of this podcast is called For the Dreamers, and part of that is looking at what is the American dream. So looking at this kind of, in a way, your dad actually did do part of the American dream, right? He had his own business. He built a successful business. He moved here. He successfully went through the immigration process, kind of escaped whatever turmoil is happening in his country and did it. And you kind of, but I think your journey is interesting because you kept, coming back and forth between these two countries and then finally came here. In your head, was there that kind of American dream of like, this is my chance to kind of start over, kind of turn this new chapter away from what it has been?
There was definitely this myth that I
right.
really looking at, especially that on a personal level, things hadn't gone well between the kid's dad and myself.
Yeah.
Was really a turn page, a new chapter, and a new life in every perspective. A new country, a new home, a new school for the kids, new friends that I had connected with as a child that I maintain, with whom I'm friends right now as well. And new friends that I made through work and the kids' school and so forth. I would say that if the US teaches you anything, is that if you persevere and work hard, you're bound to achieve something. It may not be the ginormous dream that you have, but you can always get somewhere if you work hard enough. And you have patience to go through the journey, start to finish. Because I came to the US with a great career. Someone else could have never left Lebanon, from a career perspective. And all of a sudden, I am extremely humble to the point where I'm reduced to a nothing. And I'm introduced to an industry that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
But I stuck with it, and I have to admit, my dad was my rock. He was my example in every way that counted. He taught me resilience. He taught me patience. And when it got very hard at the beginning, being a single mom with 2 younger kids and having to start really from below zero, he was the one who said, do not allow history to repeat itself. I know what you're and I know what you can accomplish. That you're not here for you anymore. You're here to provide 2 kids with a great opportunity at a good life.
Yeah.
You're going to make it to the other side. I promise. And thankfully.
Yeah. It's nice. And then when you're saying that, I always think, there's that added layer of not only that, we're coming with like Lebanese culture and Lebanese people. My cousin says we're born stressed because because we're born into this world where you have to fight. You have to know that you kind of have to put up a fight with a lot of things. And then there's really good stuff too. There's really beautiful stuff. And do you think that kind of also influenced however you were looking at things and how you appreciated the different parts of things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the values of being a Lebanese are great values. The attachment to the family, focusing on what's important in life. All of these are great things. And I've always told the kids, listen, Lebanon has great things and the US has great things. You are very fortunate to have the best of both worlds. Take the good of each of the countries and build on this and forget about that. Lead, do not follow. So I think it's been an excellent experience for me, for both kids. I look at them now.
Yes.
They're thriving. They've done so well. If they were in Lebanon, what are the chances that they would have what they have today in the US? So I'm very grateful. Grateful.
Yeah. One thing I do want to ask, what is it like kind of raising kids fully American at some level? Because they're going to inherently, maybe not your kids because they're a little older than when they came here. So part of them was raised in Lebanon, very much so. But did you feel differences raising them here in America or do you think being raised here too yourself was really helpful to kind of understanding a little more of where they came from? And
was very helpful. I'm going to talk to you about really very shallow things like the dress code, for instance.
Right.
When you would go back the first summer, her dad would split at her behind the courts. And I was accustomed because intermittently I grew up here, and not that I followed. I was never a follower myself in terms of fashion and style. I always dressed according to what I think suits me. So I had to have a conversation with her dad and say, listen, that is not going to stick anymore. She's growing up in a country where she can dress the way she pleases. And as long as she's making the right decisions for herself, that's all I care about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've been both super smart, even though it could have gone haywire.
Right.
Divorce, parents, new home, new school, new language, new everything. And they came out on top. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I also ask because I think of like, you know, mama coming here and she didn't know what peanut butter was. And like, not even if you knew what it was, just like shocked by it. Like, why is this something that's important to, you know, kids here and things like that? And just not, you know, that it's just a very interesting concept. So part of, I think, being Lebanese again is like, you know, we know our country is not really, you know, for the time being, it doesn't look like it's going to stabilize to a point where, you know, we could all ideally get houses there and move back. Do you think that day could come? Do you wish that things could have been different, or have you kind of made peace with that concept? Because, you know, there is Lebanese people who kind of disown Lebanon completely, like my own dad has, and there's a lot of people that just don't want any relation to it anymore because it's disappointed them. And there's people that still hope, like Mama, she still hopes that this is going to be okay. What's your perspective on this?
I think she hopes for her loved ones who are there with no way out, you know. And we all hope. We all because beautiful country that has tremendous offerings to offer. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can for your kids. And I would never go back to you. Never. I'm going to tell you a story, and that should give you indication of what the history of Lebanon is. And I'm repeating words that my step-grandfather used to tell my grandmother on my mom's side.
Yeah.
He was a Lebanese immigrant in Brazil because the Italian passed away. My mom was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandmother eventually remarried this Lebanese immigrant, and they moved to Brazil and lived in Brazil and grew up in. My mom grew up in Brazil. So when they would go back to check on his investments every summer, obviously they'd leave kicking and screaming because they loved being in Lebanon. And he would say, يا لبنان مصيف مش بلد تربي عيال تبني أجيال. So it's not a place for you to raise generations or to build a business. It's a country where you can come and visit for the summer. And if that man were alive today, he'd be 126 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at the history.
Yeah.
We hope, we want, but you cannot build a life on hope and want.
Yeah.
You have to and do what you think is best for you. So.
Okay. So did your mom speak French and Arabic too?
She picked up the Arabic in Lebanon
so
because they would come every summer. Her stepdad, she met him that night at a dinner, and he asked her if she would marry, and she said yes. And the second morning, he left for Qatar because he was working in Qatar, and he sent her a box of roses, 12 roses, and in one of the stems was her wedding band, her engagement band, I should say.
No.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
After summer, she went back to Brazil, and they stayed in touch by letters. They would write letters.
Yeah.
And then the year after, they got married.
Wow. Oh, I love that. Okay. My last couple questions are really, what would you want, like dreamers who are my age, or even people who live in countries where maybe there's not a lot of hope and there's hostility in the environment, or even you're just searching for where you're going to go in your life. You're searching for where you're going to build your life. Yeah. What would you say to them if you just, you have all these dreams and you want to be able to kind of make them come true, whatever they may be?
I would say, unfortunately, your generation is living in a world that has lost kindness and love and the search for peace. And there's a lot of volatility going on globally. It's not just Lebanon or the region. Even things in the US are not the way they were when I grew up. So there's a lot of change everywhere. But at the end of the day, you have to look at what makes sense from an academic and professional perspective, and where you think you have the opportunity of building something that will be long lasting and provide you a good life. And from there, I don't know, there may be opportunities for young generation like you to end up in Europe, to end up in East. I don't know. There are so the world has become so global in so many perspectives that it's no longer I leave Lebanon and come to the US and there are no other options. There are a lot of options now of thriving countries and countries that are developing and growing. Look at Saudi Arabia and how far it's come in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
You never know. I don't, honestly, I don't. All I would advise is to stick with things, no matter how hard it gets and how difficult you think the journey is. Just stick with it and see it through, and stay true to your faith.
And then to add to that, you've seen, you've grown up on and off in America. You've raised a family in America. What do you think the American dream means today? Like, how do you think it's changed and morphed? Because it used to be, of course, the white picket fence, the big house. I don't think it's like it. I don't think that's what it means anymore, especially, with all of that. But to you, how do you think it changed today?
I don't think it means this, and I don't know if it's my station in life where material things have listened in my life now, and what I'm looking at for the next, whatever it is, 10, 20, 30, whatever God has in store. But I don't think it's just the American dream, honestly. I don't think it's only I think it can be many different countries where you can build your dream. I think the most important thing is to have a plan, to be strategic about your choices, to make sure you, again, stick with it no matter how tough it gets, how hard the journey is going to be, and make sure that what you build for the long haul and not short term.
Lady Claude, well, I needed to hear that because I'm still working hard to build things. Yeah,
I promise you, it'll all pay off.
Merci. Well, thank you for beautifully answering all my questions.
On your show, I
kid. I know how busy you are doing. You're a woman of the world. You're international. I never know what city, country you're in, which is
I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you're one of my role. I want to be you when I grow up. I want to be able to enjoy life like that.
Coming from you, that means the world.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Merci.
Je t'aime.
Bisous. Bye.